Intel's new AI-powered online Bleep software promises to filter unwanted hate speech, including misogyny, name-calling, racism, xenophobia, sexually explicit language, swearing, and the N-word. That's one of the topics we're going to be talking about today, along with a certain amount of data that's been kind of doled out over the years. But anyways, this is Off and On Again, the podcast where we discuss the latest in PC gaming, hardware, and more. My name is Nick Laporte, and I am joined, as always, by my AI co-host, M.A.T.T., a.k.a. Matt.
I can't actually speak. I can't speak my mind because we've got that Intel filter on.
It's actually working. So now we know it's AI powered, but it also is, these AI people are subject to its wrath. So that's good to know it's working. Maybe it's been on the whole time. So last week was the first time I didn't swear through the whole podcast and had to bleep it out. I'm pretty sure. Maybe somebody can answer this, but I think it was. And maybe it had to do with this new software. Maybe it was already working on me. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyways, I already said it. We just started. So I was thinking, I was doing the intro here right now, and at least I didn't swear last time, but I still can't get through the actual intro, the introduction, without messing it up. I feel like I hiccuped there a couple times.
Yeah, that's fine.
I wonder if I have like a speech impediment or something. Just a broken brain.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyways.
Leaning more towards that.
Yeah, it's likely. One of the things we're going to talk about today, actually not really, I'm just going to talk about it right now. So if you haven't seen, I've talked about it already, autonomous chair, autonomous giveaway. I have to remind you wonderful people, I'm going to be giving away some stuff from autonomous. Probably a chair. I don't know. It depends on what you guys want. So I think I'll put out a poll there eventually once I have a healthy amount of credits with autonomous, so I can go ahead and do it shortly after that poll goes live. I don't know when it'll be. It might be in a month or two, but just a reminder that that's there. But just to test it out, I did order something from them, something very cheap or relatively cheap, which was a monitor arm. And I got to say, it's pretty nice. And this is a game changer for my current setup. And I think maybe I'll give away those periodically if the credits keep rolling in. I don't know. Do you have any monitor arms?
No, I have a really weird desk with a raised platform.
Yeah.
So I have my monitors up, but they're way too far behind. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Do you need some monitor arms?
I don't think I could use them. I don't believe that my desk, like the wood or the fake wood or MDF or whatever it is, could handle my monitors.
Well, Autonomous makes two. They have a single monitor arm and then have a dual monitor
Is this
arm.
a sales pitch?
No. Sorry, this is not at all. I'm just thinking about them, but I was curious about using that two monitor one because I have two monitors, but it turns out the reach of it isn't super far. And, I like to play with the racing sims a lot now. So I like to just pull that monitor really close and it would just be, 5 inches away from where I'd like to have it. And I was like, that's not really worth it. But it's really great for that second monitor on the side. It's fantastic. I'm really happy with that.
Cool.
By the way, no, this is not sponsored or anything like that. But yeah, let's get into this news topic, okay? How about we do that? Let's actually try this today. By the way, this is going to be a Relax Fit episode. I know I mentioned that in the pre-show, but just for your regular wonderful listeners, it's going to be pretty relaxed today, and we've just got a few topics to talk about. So the first one, like I said, the intro is about Intel's new automated hate speech bleep tool. Is that what is it called? What's the actual name of this?
It's called Bleep.
It's called Bleep. Okay,
yeah.
That's good to know. And they unveiled this. I think this was this at GDC?
It was.
Yeah, and let's just say it's spurred a lot of memes that a few of them I'm really fond of. So if you go ahead and search for this, Intel Bleep, you'll probably see a screenshot of the presenter showing what this actually is. So what it's supposed to do is use AI to filter what it deems to be, I guess, hate speech. So like I said, misogyny, name-calling, the N-word, racism, xenophobia, sexually explicit language, and swearing. And my first reaction when I saw this was like, I rolled my eyes and was like, really, what is this? Like, are you kidding me? But then I thought about it. Why not? Like, this is great. Like, if you're just a single person at home and you don't want to see this stuff, that's great. Or you got kids and you want to have this filter on there for when they use the internet. I'm sure they can find their way around it more than their parents can, but at least it's there. It's an option if you're tech savvy enough to use it. I think that's pretty neat. I'm just wondering how well it's going to work and how much it's going to actually eliminate stuff that it otherwise maybe shouldn't. And who really dictates on how this algorithm is going to work to filter this stuff?
Well, an AI will. The weird thing about it, the thing that I don't know why everybody is finding it weird, other than the fact that it is kind of weird, but it's so strange that there's this slider where you look at misogyny, hateful or disparaging speech about women. You can set the slider from none to some to most to all. So there's a machine that's going to determine, like, I don't know, is it the frequency? Like it skips like every third one? Or are there ones that it is determined are like okay?
Yeah.
Okay-ish?
That's the thing. Like, that's what I was kind of asking. Like, what is it really going to be? Like, how is it, like you said, is it the frequency? Is it the severity? I have a feeling it's going to be more so of like, if it's like actually say, I hate X or this should die or whatever.
Well, that's like that's pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, it should be. But maybe it goes when you just want some, it's like jokes and stuff like that. That might be off-colored. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be that sophisticated. I can't imagine it really would be, but I'm interested to see how this is actually going to work.
Yeah. It is so strange, though. Mostly because, it's none, some, most, all, rather than like, extreme to, I don't know, like varying levels of extreme language. Like, for example, the swearing slider, I could see, well, I'm not going to use them, but some words are probably more impactful than others.
Yeah.
Like you could put the F word maybe at the top and maybe the A words down lower or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could probably rank, but it's just weird that it's like, no, I'll just have some swearing, please. Let's get rid of most misogyny, but not all of it. We don't want everything out.
It is really weird that there are sliders.
Yeah.
But there's no slider for the N-word. It's either on or off. It says use of the N-word, including all its variants, on or off. And I think it's going to open up to one of those conversations where it's like, well, why aren't we implementing this on, say, Twitter itself or other social platforms? When is that going to come? And I can imagine this type of software, not specifically what they're doing here, but this type of software is already being used and is going to be used more widespread in certain countries where they already monitor and censor their internet in different ways. So, yeah, it's interesting to see where this goes. I'd love to try it. I'd really just love to try this, but I believe you actually do need an Intel CPU. Is that right? Or is it using some kind of cloud computing? Because what we have here from Mobile Syrup, this website, it doesn't say exactly how it's working.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole presentation. I imagine it's cloud-based. I don't think they're doing much on the CPU.
Well, actually, in this article, they say since the whole computer processing thing isn't really working out anymore, Intel's pivoting into a more important business of automating censoring hate speech. I don't know what they mean by that, because as far as I've heard, Intel is actually moving up in that space somehow, in the DIY market at least. And they've been smashing in business for a long time.
Yeah, well, I mean, apparently I've heard that it's easier to get an Intel CPU than an AMD one if you're looking for your enthusiast gaming kind of hardware stuff. But I don't know. This is so weird. And I'm on Twitter. I need to close this tab. Twitter's awful.
Twitter is a weird one for sure. I rarely use it. If you follow me on there, you notice I barely tweet, and usually it's completely unrelated to anything that we talk about here. Some random tweet. But some of the memes about this thing are just fantastic, and Matt shared this one the other day, and it's Data standing in the holodeck from Star Trek.
It's actually
Next Generation.
Barkley.
Is that Barkley?
Yeah.
You would know. I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Would you like to read it?
Okay, so yeah, it's Barkley. He's looking into an empty holodeck. And he's saying, "Computer, I want you to simulate a full Xbox Live multiplayer lobby for the 2009 video game Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Enable misogyny, name-calling, racism, and xenophobia, sexually explicit language and swearing. Oh, and computer, turn all N-word prohibitors off." That was from somebody on Twitter called @strange_sunset. If you want to try to find that. It's so weird. It's just so weird.
Yeah, it is weird. But at the same, I don't know how I feel about it. It's
I think
things.
I like the filtering.
Yeah.
It's good to have that as an option. The weird thing is the most misogyny.
Yeah.
It's just so weird. Like let through the odd joke and poor taste about women or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's going to be strange. Like, I can't even begin to imagine what went into training this AI.
Mm-hmm.
Like, feeding them 101 tasteless jokes books or what? Like what?
Yeah, how far did they go? Right?
Yeah.
Like, is it Jim Jeffries, or they're just throwing in Dave Chappelle at it and be like this, or like what are they pointing to that's going to be, in its category of to actually block this stuff?
Yeah, I don't.
But
there's going to be some people on like Xbox Live or whatever that they're just going to be muted constantly.
Yeah. Well, when I think about how it works in Rocket League, so I don't play any games where you actually talk to people over like a Discord type thing, a voice chat in a game randomly. Like, I can't remember the last time I've actually done that. I can't remember what game it might have been. Probably playing Halo or Call of Duty back in the day on Xbox 360 or something. But in Rocket League, it's all self-reported. It's user-reported. So if someone says something, like the other day, someone used the N-word twice in a match at me and my friend for whatever reason. And you just report them for that. And then they get a chat ban. And if they get banned enough in the chat ban, they can actually get a permanent game ban, which I believe I think it's computer reviewed or automated review. And it just looks through the chat, actual text chat, to see what kind of words were used and things like that to do that. And then I don't know if it goes to actually some person, but that's all user kind of propagated. So I'm wondering if they could implement this into games in such a way where it doesn't even matter. It doesn't need to be user reported because it's already blocked and you won't even see it.
Yeah, when you mention that, like, I would probably, if I had a tool like this, I just put everything to all pretty much. Maybe not swearing. I don't mind swearing. But I'm like you. Like, I almost never go into, like, I usually turn, like, if I play Overwatch or Grand Theft Auto or whatever, voice chat is off. I don't, if you got something to say, I don't want to hear it. Because I know what it's going to be pretty much. It'll be all, well, I'm not going to say the words, but yeah, racism and sexism and homophobia kind of stuff, or I don't know if it's phobia as much as just outright horrible hate. But yeah, no, I don't want to. It's just so bad. Every time I try, like, I think, oh man, it'd be maybe I'll just hop into Grand Theft Auto Online and, some, like, it. Sometimes you meet people, like Like, I don't really remember how we met, but I'm sure it was online somehow, somewhere. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice if we could have those experiences again. They'd need to add for Overwatch, they need to add something. You know, we need to be able to turn off people suggesting that you play a different character, because that's the most annoying thing ever.
People do that a lot. I haven't played Overwatch in a while.
That's all they do. There's always a guy, this is one of the reasons I turned off voice chat. There's always a guy who's like, oh, are you really going to play Diva? Like, no, go ahead and switch to this other one. It's like, buddy, you switch.
Yeah.
Like, I'm playing the game I want to play.
Yeah, this is an open lobby. You don't get to dictate what other people are doing.
Yeah.
How many characters do they have in that game now? They got to have quite a few.
Yeah, I don't know. There are quite a few. They've probably added, I don't know, probably between 5 and 10 since the game first launched.
It's got to be. Oh, wow. Sorry, I just Googled it, and the list looks a lot bigger than what I remember. I think Orisa was released the last time I was playing. I haven't played since then. That was probably a few years ago.
Yeah, Orisa's pretty fun.
Yeah. My favorite was Diva, or who's the guy who skates around? He plays
Lucio.
The healer. Lucio, yeah.
Yeah, I like both those.
Those fun times, man. Maybe we'll have to play it again. Yeah. It's been a while.
I like how Lucio also, for some reason, has a Maple Leafs, a Toronto Maple Leafs costume.
Really?
Yeah. It's not...
Oh, that's awesome.
It's... I don't know his backstory or whatever, and it doesn't explicitly say Toronto Maple Leafs, but I mean, anybody who knows hockey would look at that and say pretty much, okay, he's dressed up like a Leaf.
Oh, yeah. It looks very Leaf-like. Well, it turns out there was a Lucio de Martinis who played back in the 90s. Maybe it's a reference to that or something. Huh. I don't know.
Toronto will be a level in Overwatch 2, which I'm...
Really?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Oh my God. I'm so worried.
They've just going to be the CN Tower and that whole area with Rogers Center. I'm like the distillery district.
I'm worried that it's just going to be there's Tim Hortons and stuff like that. Like all that just ridiculous Canadian stereotypes. They definitely have they have Toronto City Hall, and I think they have the big Toronto sign, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, I'm looking at the pictures here on DuckDuckGo, and yeah, there's a hockey player with Maple Leafs jersey. Looks like City Hall's behind him. Beside that's Rogers Center, and then you can see the CN Tower and streetcars. That's pretty cool. Interesting.
Yeah,
that's fun.
I'm actually kind of getting a little bit excited for Overwatch 2. Although Blizzard has made a lot of mistakes over the past few years. At first I was kind of like, this is not really what I'm like. I don't care. I kind of got over Overwatch. But now it seems like they're focusing a lot more on PvE content, which is really what I like. They've done a bit of that in the first game, but it's usually just events, and you have to play the same level over and over and over again.
I think that's the way to go in a lot of games, unless you can find a nice, consistent group of people to play with. In a lot of games, I find, unless it has a really good, robust, ranked system, PvE is awesome. Like, especially if you're not someone who plays a certain game very often. So, for example, Counter-Strike. I've been playing Counter-Strike since I was a kid. I only play it once in a while. Like CS:GO, I'll play once in a blue moon. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go play some Counter-Strike. But I'll be darned if I'm going into a random online lobby. I'm just not going to. I'll put the bots on expert, get my butt kicked there because, at least I can actually maybe kill somebody once in a while. So I do like that. There's I think, I don't know, I'm just thinking about the different games I've been playing recently where I find that I'd much prefer playing with bots or just playing with the AI versus actually going online. Racing games are especially in that category. Like you've sent me quite a few GIFs of crazy stuff happening. Not that you've been playing, but just links to other people's stuff. Like the one you sent me today where some guy just literally doing crazy spins and the other dude just missed it by
did
magic.
A barrel roll.
Yeah. And that doesn't normally happen. Usually you just get smashed and go flying into a wall and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, although an AI Charles Leclerc pulled a pit maneuver on me the other day in Spa. I was not happy.
Okay, that's a problem in F1. I've talked about it before. For whatever reason, they just seem very aggressive. I get pitted all the time in that game. Not all the time, but frequent enough where it's like, okay, they're really aggressive.
Yeah.
Like if you go too slow into a corner and there's even the slightest opening that you leave, they take it and just spin you out.
Yeah.
It's kind of a pain in the butt. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how this rolls out. Intel software, and I'm excited to try it out and see if I can like A/B it in some fashion. And I think hopefully things don't get taken too far where this gets implemented permanently in certain places where, I don't know. I mean, not to get political or anything, but I think it's a good idea to see what people are actually saying in some cases. Otherwise, things get lost and it can become a bit messy, to say the least.
Yeah. But it can get rid of the people who just jump into a lobby and just start screaming the N-word or something, because that does happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You have a good point there. Shall we move to the next story?
Sure.
What do we got here? Catherine Zettabyte Jones.
Catherine Zettabytes.
Zettabytes Jones. This is from Tom's Hardware. Seagate has shipped 3 zettabytes of hard drives, which is equivalent to 3 billion 1 terabyte HDDs over the span of 41 years.
Wow.
Are they ever going to stop?
HDDs? Probably.
It's a lot. I mean, obviously, I feel like most people buying these things are not going to be people. They're going to be entities, mostly for high-capacity storage and server farms and things like that. But, man, that's a lot of storage. In fact, they even have this graph here in the article. This is, by the way, like I said, tomshardware.com, where it shows since the 1970s, late 1970s, until 2021, it's exponential, the amount of data. It's just like you see any kind of graph. It's just like a slow build, and all of a sudden, boom. In 2015, it just takes off and is nearly being doubled every year. Or every few years, rather.
Yep.
It's a lot of data. I'm wondering how much actual space this would take up. Like if you stacked this many 3 billion 1 terabyte HDDs, like how big of a pile could you make? That is so much stuff. That is crazy.
Well, 3 billion times...
It was like an inch?
Sure. 3 billion inches.
3 billion inches?
So there's another graphic here that explains this for you kids. What does 3 zettabytes look like? 1.5 quadrillion selfies. That's what it looks like. Or 197,000 per person on Earth. 7.5 trillion MP3 songs. Okay, so that's for the older kids, the ones who still deal in MP3s. Or that's 1,000 songs, 1,000 library song per person on the planet.
And if we stack these one after another on their flat side, the short side, like we said, it was 3 billion inches. That equals, how much is this? 47,000 miles of hard drive stacked up together. How far is it to the moon?
I don't know, man.
Moon to the Earth. Oh, that's much farther than moon. It's almost 250,000 miles. Okay, well we get somewhere up there at least. We'd be on our way to the moon. That's a lot of hard drives, man. That's crazy. I'm wondering how much it's switching because, okay, so like I think we talked about this last week. I don't have any hard drives in my machine, and I haven't since I rebuilt it in the summer. Last summer, I've got 3 SSDs in my machine, and I was talking to a friend recently, and he was kind of just doing some rejiggering with his machine. He's been having some issues with crashing, especially with one particular game, so he decided he wanted to refresh his Windows, and he was showing me the boot sequence. He was trying to get some help from me, and he only had a single 500 gigabyte hard drive in his machine, and I couldn't believe it. And I know he hadn't built this computer very long ago. He didn't build it, but he bought it maybe 4 years ago. It's got a 1060 in it. It's got a first generation Ryzen 5. And yeah, I convinced him to go ahead and buy an M.2 drive. And that's what he's installed in his machine. So I'm wondering, like, what's most people's machines like? The average person. I don't think my machine is average. It's not like the best machine by far or anything like that, but I think my use cases are definitely different than most people, or at least my interest in computers. So what's the average gamer, say, have in their PC? I have a feeling it'd be maybe one SSD, anywhere from 250 to a terabyte, and then a separate HDD. I feel like that would be most people would have something like that.
Well, I'm just looking at the Steam hardware survey from March 2021.
Right. Coming here with the data.
Looks like it only measures free hard drive space.
Free hard drive space?
Or total hard drive space. Yeah, it doesn't actually say the interface or whatever.
That's fair.
Unless I'm missing it. %100 of Steam users have a microphone.
Really?
That's what it says. I don't know how it determines that. I guess I did have a microphone hooked up when I scanned it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's not, I don't know. Anyway, it's
well, laptops have microphones, and then if you have a headset with a microphone, it's going to count that, right?
Yeah.
100% though. That's kind of surprising. It could be maybe in the 90s. 100%. Like, we've checked. We know. We talked to Google about this. They know for sure.
Yeah.
I worry about that.
About
just spying and stuff like that.
Yeah. I have a webcam and I only plug it in when I'm using it.
Yeah. Like on my laptop, I have electrical tape over top of my webcam. It's been there for ages.
Yeah, I have a little slider thing on my work laptop.
Yeah.
Mostly because I'm like in pajamas throughout my work day, and I don't want to like accidentally join a Teams meeting and not realize my camera's on.
Yeah, that'd be the worst of it. I mean, it could be worse than that. There was some guy, I think it happened to recently, something bad like that. I think he was in a Zoom meeting and he didn't close it properly. And, he had some business with himself, to say the least. And it kind of got out there on the internet. Not good.
I'm
Don't
sure
want that to happen.
I'm sure there's like a subreddit full of that.
I'm sure there is. Yes. I don't want to find it. So yeah, be careful with your webcams and things like that. Microphones are a different story. It's going to be hard to cover those up in a way that's actually going to keep them from being used nefariously or accidentally by yourself. But still, it's something to worry about. I mean, your phone has at least 2 cameras on it. Like whose phone does not have 2 cameras on it these days? At least
2 cameras.
Like most of them have many more than that.
Yeah.
How many you got on your iPhone? Like 3 or 4 on the back or something?
I have 3 plus LiDAR.
Plus LiDAR, yes.
Yeah. And then on the front, I have 1 plus... actually, I have 2, I think. I think there's 1, and then there's like an infrared camera plus the dot projector or whatever that scans my face. A lot of them, anyway.
It's a lot. So they could see your business in many different kind of resolutions and focal lengths.
Full 3D scan.
full 3D scan. Wow.
Oh, LiDAR, man.
Too many images in my head right now I don't want to think about. Yeah, so it's just something I worry about. And who knows when we'll cross that line where in certain places it's just going to be a given that the government or whoever can do that legally. That's kind of scary. Wasn't that happening in the United States for a while? With the NSA and that whole Snowden thing?
Oh, maybe Prism or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know if it was with people's like webcams and stuff, but it was close to that if anything.
Yeah, I don't really remember. It was a good movie, though.
That was a great film. And I was surprised that the guy's still basically on the run, but seems to be making quite the living with just doing talks and things like that.
Oh, Snowden, yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking of that person, another person with 3 names. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Who plays...
It's like in hiding?
I don't know. I guess because I was thinking of the movie, I was thinking of him for some reason.
Gotcha.
Because he played Snowden in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Whenever I see that actor, I just think of the movies he was in when he was a kid for whatever reason. Like, I can't even think of the names of them now. I can see what's happening in the movies. But anyways, it doesn't matter.
Brick?
I don't know that.
That's a pretty good movie. At least it was when I saw it. That's by the guy who ruined Star Wars. What's his name?
Don't know. Was it Ryan Johnson?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Ruined Star Wars. Did he though? Maybe.
I don't know. You know what? I don't think he did actually. I think he took it in an unexpected. He took it somewhere like pretty different, and the movie after it was Disney trying to fix it, which made things worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really like the Star Wars
sequel trilogy.
Sequels, yes. Those ones. Nah, yeah. I mean, the first one I did like when I saw it, and I had fun watching it. The next one was like, what's happening? Like, I felt like there were so many things set up nicely that it would have paid off in an almost expected way, but it would have been satisfying, and it just didn't happen. And then the last one was just, ugh.
Well, the last one, just completely ignored certain characters. I don't know. I guess there was some pretty bad stuff in the second one. But
what about the unexpected sexual tension between the two leading characters at the end of the movie? That was I felt it was unexpected, or just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was weird. Maybe I'd have to rewatch them. I've only seen them once.
I watched them all again recently. Actually, with my wife, we watched all the Star Wars movies, and she's not a Star Wars expert. She hasn't lived her whole life with Star Wars. But immediately when we were watching the sequel one, she's like, this is just a remake of the other one. And like, this is just the same as the other movie. Like, she was able to call all the BS, and I was very proud. Yeah, that's good. If she was on Reddit, she'd be a prequel memer. She's like obsessed with Anakin Skywalker from the prequels.
Like in all his forms, or like just the Christian Haydenson one?
Hayden Christensen.
Hayden Christian, that's it.
She's close. She's more about like I don't know. She keeps calling him like a legend or something like that. Like she's really
a legend.
Yeah, I don't know.
Absolute legend.
Yeah, I think it's more about the fact that he was like this. He was the chosen one. Anyway,
I gotta say, I'm impressed that subreddit is still going strong.
Oh yeah,
it's really nice.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Oh yeah. Man, there's certain things that just don't die, and I'm very happy that's one of them. Oh geez, I mean, I think anybody knows about, like everybody knows about it. If you're listening to this podcast, I can't believe that you wouldn't know about it. I'm sure you all do, but I just got to say, I'm very happy it's still there. I'm just happy that people share memes. It's such a wonderful way to share ideas and funny thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to share memes occasionally, but I can't say that mine are particularly good.
Yeah, I try every once in a while. I mostly just share it with you and other people on Discord.
I think that's the easier way to go when you know the audience.
Yeah.
Because you kind of know each other's humor in a certain way. I mean, mine falls flat no matter who I'm talking to a lot of the times, but at least when it's with my in-group, so to speak, at least it's not as embarrassing because I already know how embarrassing it's going to be otherwise. You guys already know how
embarrassing you are. Yeah.
Yeah. And awkward and, all that stuff.
Yeah. I'm not really like interested in internet fame or internet points. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me if 10,000 people see it on Reddit or if like 10 people in a Discord see it.
Yeah. I always think about that. Like when I'm on Reddit, I think about posting things and I'm like, I can't be bothered. And the effort's just, no thanks. Nah. Oh, sorry. I was in bed like I am most mornings looking on my phone. I got to get out of that habit, bad habit. But I was on Reddit and I came across a new sub, not a new sub, I don't think it's new, but a sub that I haven't seen before. And it's one of those weird subs where it was created, it's a joke, but the joke keeps going and I really like it. So like one of them that I think is more famous is like Hydro Homies or Mirrors for Sale, stuff like that. But this one, I think it was called Tires Are the Enemy. I think. Tires Are the Enemy. Let me see. And I had a lot of fun for probably half an hour just scrolling through the history of it. Yeah, Tires Are the Enemy. And it's a mixture of memes about people taking pictures of tires and being like, uh-oh, we're screwed. Like there's a truck with giant tires on it. And just like videos of people getting wrecked by, an errant tire that's fallen off a car, essentially. And it's a good one. Ooh, there's an F1 one. Rainy with a chance of tires. So yeah, all sorts of tires. It's really entertaining. Definitely one to check out if you want some random fun and waste your time. Go for it.
Yeah, I've seen. There's Birds Aren't Real is another one kind of like that. Where it's just a bunch of
Birds Aren't Real.
Yeah. They just like post videos and pictures of birds looking mechanical or fake or whatever.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's the like deep level meme stuff that I think. Oh yeah. I get lost in that for a while and forget about it. Probably that's a good one. Yeah. Oh no, I can't do it right now.
Yeah, close the tab.
The podcast. I get distracted. Can't share this, anyways. What other news stuff do we have to talk about? Ooh, I got one. I got the gig internet. I told you this before the show. I don't have it yet, but I ordered it and I'm looking forward to it. Currently, I'm on coax, 100 megabits per second, and I think it's 10 up, and I'm plugged in. But the problem I have, though, or I might have, is that the actual fiber cable is in the closet in the front of my apartment, which is not close to where I'm sitting right now. So, yeah, I have to figure that out. Not sure how I'm going to have to run a wire like across the ceiling or something. I don't know what I'm going to do. Do you think I could get like a relay? Like a router or something?
I mean, you can get a really good router. I don't know if we talked about it on podcast or not about your
we did.
using your provider provided like modem Wi-Fi router combo.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get like a decent router, you'll be better off. But wired is really the way to go. You never really have any reliability issues or dropouts or, interference issues depending on, how many neighbors you might have all with Wi-Fi.
I'm a big fan of the wired, so
yeah, same.
Maybe I'll have to figure it out.
I just bought Ethernet cables that are the same color as the baseboards and just run them around the house.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is if I were to run it, it'd have to go across a hallway, 2 hallways, in fact.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem. And I don't know. It'd be a job. I don't know if it's worth it or not. I could probably figure. I could probably pull back a baseboard and drill a hole and probably be fine and hide it. I'm pretty handy, so maybe I'll do that. I'll figure it out. Either way, I'm just looking forward to having some internet where I can actually download games at a reasonable speed other than what I'm already getting, which, to be honest, is not bad when I can download a game from Steam and it peaks out at like 15 megabytes per second. It's not terrible, but when... Yeah, I know. But when you're in a pinch and your friends are like, hey, do you have this game? It's like, I have it. It's not installed. It's 30 gigs. Like, it's going to be an hour or two. So
yeah,
that is. Cut that down.
That's. I went from I think 150 to gigabit, and like the only difference is just what you said, the Steam thing. Somebody's like, hey, you guys want to play this game? It's like, oh yeah, it's not installed. Now it's like minutes rather than many, like tens and tens of minutes or whatever. Now it's just like so fast. Like I downloaded something while we were, well, I'm not going to say what I was downloading. It was a movie.
Hello.
All right. It was a movie, but
air quotes, quote unquote movie.
Well, it's the movie Legend from 1985, which I've never seen. But yeah, it downloaded in like 30 seconds, which is crazy, and it's multiple gigabytes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing to think that internet can be faster than even plugging in something to your computer. I remember somebody, an old friend of ours, a mutual friend, saying this, that it was easier for him to download something again than going into the drawer and grabbing his external hard drive and plugging that into his computer and transferring it. Yeah. It's really the case in some ways. So what would the theoretical maximum be for download? 150 megabytes per second with gigabit? I think so, right?
No,
something like that.
125. You just got to do the math,
125.
buddy.
Sorry, okay? I failed math. But yeah.
125 times 8 is 1,000, if I'm not mistaken.
The fastest external thing that I've seen transfer on my computer, I believe, was like a really fast SD card. I think my external hard drive transfers at like in the 60s to close to 90 maybe sometimes, I think. And then the SD card is like a flat 90 megabytes per second. And unless you had like an external SSD, maybe that'd be faster, I think. But those are bloody expensive, and that seems like a really weird market. I think Samsung sells those multicolored external SSDs, and I think that's a very niche thing right now. But yeah,
I've looked into them a little bit.
Magic. Yeah,
they're just I don't know. It's I'm more about the NAS life rather than the plug in a USB thing or whatever.
The NAS life. All right. How
about the monkey playing Pong with his mind?
That is something. That's definitely a good one. But yeah, what is like? So I'm not. I mean, I think the last podcast made it pretty clear. Like I won't say a fan, but I'm very interested to see what things that are coming from Elon Musk and his different companies, the million companies that he has. But Neuralink is definitely one that I think is going to be revolutionary in the not too far future, especially when it comes to people who need who are paraplegic and stuff like that, and who could use these brain interfaces to, gain some agency back in their life. And that's so amazing. Like that. It's hard to even imagine to be in that state, but to be able to help people who are generally helpless and need help 24/7 is amazing. But anyways, they've created this thing that connects to a monkey, and he's playing a game. What game is it? Is it actually Pong?
Yeah. So it started out with, they have this, there's a screen and a joystick, and the monkey has to move the dot into a lit up square. Every time he does that successfully using the joystick, a tube dispenses banana smoothie because he's a monkey. He doesn't need to get paid. So yeah, he trained for a long time to do that. And they've also got this Neuralink interface, this like chip or whatever in his head. And they showed that they can unplug the joystick. The monkey still uses the joystick because he's a monkey and that's what he was trained to do. But what he doesn't know is that he's actually moving the dot with his mind. So he's still flipping the joystick around, but it's not plugged in. So he's moving the dot around just using his thoughts. And then eventually they got rid of the joystick, and now the monkey can just play Pong. And it's pretty amazing seeing like he's pretty good. Like he's, it's it's Pong, he has to kind of react like fairly quickly and pretty precisely to make sure you don't lose the ball. But it's just all through like this wireless Neuralink interface. It's just so cool.
It is, yeah.
I can't wait. Like all day at work, I'm working between two documents. One is an Excel file and one is something else. Maybe it's another Excel file. Maybe it's something else. But, every time I'm in the other window and I want to go back to Excel to enter some data, I have to click in Excel to make it the active window. And then I click in the cell that I want to use. And it's so annoying. Like every day, like hundreds of clicks just to make it the active window. Like if with this, or, probably something simpler than this, Windows could know which window I want to be active. Sometimes I don't know if it's just the program or what. Sometimes if you scroll in a certain window, it doesn't matter if it's active or not, and it will scroll that window if your mouse is hovering over it. But not always. Like I haven't really figured out when that happens. But I mean, that's nice. I wish like everything was like that. Where it, whatever your mouse is over is the active window.
And I think this technology is going to definitely revolutionize the way we interface with computers in a big way. The way we look at, cursive writing now, or a typewriter, is going to be the way we look at using a keyboard and a mouse in the future. I definitely think that's going to happen. And, I don't think people should be surprised about that, but I think it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be good or what, or bad, or how much we're going to assimilate with computers is going to be very interesting. I wish I could live for a few hundred years to see how things progress, as long as humans actually last that long. I don't want to be that pessimistic, but
there was a South Park episode where Alec Baldwin created a device that would automatically turn his thoughts into tweets. Did you ever see that one?
Yes.
It's going to be just like that.
What they call it? They had some weird, funny name for it. I can't remember.
Like shitter or something like that. I don't know.
Shitter. Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of South Park, but I did see that one. That was really funny. But yeah, it's going to be like that. But I'm wondering how they'll have to moderate the way they use it, because, a lot of times you'll think things, but that's not exactly what you wanted to do. Like you'll make a mistake, like even just shutting down the computer and being like, oh, wait, I didn't want to do that. Right. And how quickly you could work on the computer especially if you're someone who grew up with that technology attached to you. Like, I don't know, there's probably gonna be laws about putting these things with kids and stuff. And I imagine at some point they could probably go transcranial, where they don't actually have to stick it in your skull. But if you're a kid who grows up using this technology, man, you're going to be a wizard on the computer. It's going to be something else. It's so clunky.
Well,
right now,
Elon talked about this on a Joe Rogan show. I think it was like two shows ago, maybe, that he was on, about how, our thoughts are so much more dense than we are able to communicate them.
Yeah.
Like I have to, every concept in my head, I have to compress and arrange into a linear sentence to speak to you. I can have some kind of crazy concept or memory or whatever in my head. The only way I can get it to you is through like a very narrow output, through speech or writing or drawing or whatever else. With this supposedly one day it could be like much faster. Like we wouldn't be slowed down by the how fast we can speak or how fast we can type, which would be, it would be great. Like I am someone who, I don't know if it's just I'm like getting old or what, but I just have so much trouble typing on a mobile phone lately. I guess I was a wizard in the T9 days, like on the flip phones when everybody remember T9? Do you remember?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was just a whiz at that. I could type so fast on that, but I don't know. Transitioning over to touchscreen phones, like, I don't know what it is. It's only the past couple of years. Maybe it's the bigger phones or something like that. I'm always like missing letters. I'm accidentally pressing space instead of V or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love if there was a faster way for me to get like text or input into a phone. Or, even just like when you're holding your phone one-handed, like, I don't know, you're holding onto a strap on a subway car or whatever, and you just want to try to reach like an X in the top left or top right part of your screen. It's like impossible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially with these bigger phones.
Yeah. So just that kind of stuff, like being able to just look at your phone. I know you can talk to your phone, like that's a way around the typing, but I mean, you can't. I really don't like talking to my phone. And again, like you're listening to me speak, and I'm stumbling all over the place and saying and yeah and stuff all the time, and saying and stuff. But yeah, if I could just get this thought out, like directly from my brain, might be, our podcast might be so much better one day.
We can just like have some synthesizer speak for us through our thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I was having a conversation the other night with two people in person, and it was good. It was a good conversation, but we were talking about very sensitive issues, and often those conversations can go sour, and it didn't, thankfully. But it'd be amazing because I feel like people are very similar in a lot of ways, and if we can actually convey ourselves more clearly, and if you could like share your thoughts like literally with other people, I think it'd be very helpful, and it'd create a more peaceful existence, I think, in some cases. Maybe not, though. Maybe it could go the other way. I don't know. Because it is true.
Ideally, it would mean that you wouldn't be misunderstood. That's a problem I've had, like especially through like my teen years on ICQ or MSN. There were so many times when I had a friend like not understand that I was, saying something in a lighthearted way or slightly joking or whatever, and they take it very seriously because all they saw was, my stupid text in whatever font I chose to use or whatever.
There's no syntax. It's very, And that's, I think, what happens a lot online with Twitter and Reddit. You can take things any way you read it, and you have to be very precise if you want it to be taken a certain way, and that's very time consuming.
Yeah.
And you have to be thoughtful to actually do that. Do you think it's time, Matt? You think it's time to talk about this? This is something we've had on like the filler topics for I think before we even started this podcast, probably, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. We can talk about it. So I built like a home server, and let me tell you about my experience. So what I did is I got an ASRock J5040 ITX. This is a motherboard that has a CPU on it already. It's I think it's a quad core. It's like a maybe Pentium Silver or something like that. I don't know, but basically it's not extremely powerful, but it's not really that underpowered. It's fairly new. It has, I don't know what it's called, HEVC or something like that, which can decode 4K video easily. So the idea was to build a NAS that I can use as a Plex server, as like a home file server, as, who knows what else. Minecraft server, I don't know. So I got this motherboard CPU combo, which is pretty good. I'd been looking for it for a while, and it had sort of had like weird availability. Like it's like kind of a will it or won't it be available in North America kind of thing. But eventually it showed up on Newegg, so I got that. I put 16 gigs of RAM in it, even though it says on both the ASRock website and the Intel like specs for the CPU, says it can only handle 8 gigs of RAM. It handles 16 fine. It recognizes it. It uses it. I don't know what the deal with that is. And let's see. So yeah, I installed it. I mean, it's an ITX board, so it's super tiny. It's kind of like, I don't know. I put it in like a full ATX case. If I next time I do this, I would probably just put a full size board in there. I mean, the idea was I was trying to save money, but I don't know. Having a small board doesn't really. I mean, it just makes it harder to work with because all of the SATA ports are like literally touching the PCI slots, and all like the jumpers for the front buttons are all next to this and that, and like it's just so cramped. And to try to make like a clean build was just impossible. So let's see. I don't know. I have a ton of fans because I'm fan happy. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 120 millimeter fans and 240 millimeters blowing at the top. I have what do I have? I don't know. This stuff doesn't really matter. I have a 1 terabyte SATA SSD as the boot drive, and I think I have a 4 terabyte WD Red CMR drive for storage. So originally the idea was I will go with FreeNAS, or what it's now called TrueNAS, which is like software it's an operating system, and you can also run like Plex or other things on top of it. I guess they're Docker containers or something like that. But it was really confusing. I really didn't have a good time with it. It's based on FreeBSD or something, which is not Linux. Any nerd will tell you. So it was like pretty much the first time I had any experience with this operating system, or like even the bones of it. Just a lot of different terminology, like pools and stuff, and I couldn't figure out how to do simple things. Like I wanted to, I had a 1 terabyte boot drive. I wanted to use some of it for storage and stuff, but I don't know, making partitions didn't really seem obvious. And I don't know. Basically, I just had like a really bad time with it. Nothing was going the way I wanted. So I decided to install Windows Server instead. I have a key from a course that I signed up for with the college, a free course, which was nice. So I just kind of a cool benefit, I guess, of signing up for a free course, which is kind of weird. But well, I guess it was like I had a college. It was just like a Microsoft course, like an Azure AZ900 course, if anybody knows that. Just a basic thing. But basically, they give you like a school email address, so then you can use that to apply for like free Windows licenses or what have you. Anyway, So I installed Windows Server. It's much better. I mean, I'm used to Windows. There's not too much different about Windows Server from Windows 10. I started with Windows Server 2016, but then eventually switched over to 2019. I can't remember why I did that, but things have been going pretty well. I'm running Plex on it. I also bought a Plex Pass, which I would recommend. It allows for hardware transcoding, which is crazy. Like the difference, like so without the hardware transcoding, when I played, a TV show or something from my Plex server on my PC, it for whatever reason it needs to transcode it. So it's like turning it. I don't know why it has to do that. Something to do with how, I don't know, codecs or whatever, or maybe bandwidth reasons. I don't really know. So it takes the original file, it turns it, on the fly into something that's streamable or playable on the target device. So with the software transcoding, the little CPU in my server is just going like full tilt, and I'm getting stuttering and stuff like that. When I switch over to hardware transcoding, it's like at idle, like completely at idle, because it's using the built-in like transcoding, like the Intel transcoding hardware, like the HEVC blah 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 stuff. So it's been pretty good. I don't know what else there is to say about it.
What would you say is what you use most with it? Like, what is its main purpose?
The main purpose has pretty much ended up being a Plex server. I also have a Microsoft SQL server running on there for I don't know, business stuff. Just as kind of like a playground or whatever. It's been good. It's not super quiet, but that's my own fault because I put in a million fans. But the CPU is fanless. So I don't know. I just sort of felt like I needed to add some more fans. Also, I'm fan crazy, which we may talk about another day. One thing that I learned is that gigabit Ethernet is not really that fast. As we just talked about before, 1 gigabit is equal to, or like 1 gigabit as, what is it, a second? Yeah. 1 gigabit a second is equal to 125 megabytes a second, which is really not that fast. If you're transferring over like a 10 gigabyte file or something like that, you're sitting there and waiting. Like it's not like instant. You think, I've got big files, they're on my local network, I've got gigabit, it's all going to be good. It's actually really not that fast. I think if I, next time I do this, next time I build one, I'm going to make sure that I have, the ability to do like 2.5 gig or more. I don't really need it, but I don't know. From a hobby perspective, I guess I'd kind of want to do that.
And how much do you think it costs, the system? I mean, you probably had some recycled parts that you put into this, so maybe that doesn't really factor in, but I know it's relatively cheap for the actual just base components for the most part, as long as you're not going too crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, like you can really. So I did use all new hardware. Actually, that's not true. I used an old power supply. It eventually ended up dying, so I had to buy a new one. But yeah, it's hard to say how much it costs. I did use an old case. I mean, the main expense was the motherboard CPU combo and the RAM, I guess. I guess the RAM, I mean, the biggest expense was the motherboard CPU combo. I couldn't tell you how much the whole thing cost. $600 maybe. I don't know. Canadian.
Yeah, so I've been looking at building one, and it's been several months since, I've been thinking about it just for more storage purposes, using something like you do for Plex and things like that. But also I think a lot of the YouTube content, and I think that's maybe what's holding me back from actually starting filming this podcast, is the amount of storage I'm going to need for every single episode. We're talking about well over 100 gigabytes per episode. So until I can actually afford to build this thing, I don't know if I'm going to do that. But yeah, I think that was what I was looking at, because I was more looking at something a bit more powerful. I was looking at maybe using some older generation of Ryzen 3 APUs. And I do have some components already. I already have a case that I bought for like $40. Great shape. It's NZXT. It's a full case. I think it has like 8 hard drive, 3.5 hard drive bays. So definitely expandable for storage wise. And I mean, I have a spare 500 gigabyte SSD now. That WD SN750 that I took out of my main machine and replaced with that Samsung. So I'm partway there.
Yeah.
But it's I think the main investment's going to cost me at least $500 to $800. And I think one of the biggest expenses is actually the storage itself, because if I'm going to put some hard drives in there. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, if you're only using gigabit Ethernet, SSDs aren't really going to make much of a difference.
No.
So, that was another thing I learned. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, yeah, I have an SSD for the system drive, which is, that I guess it helps in the running of programs or whatever else. But when it comes to accessing stuff off of storage, you're not really, because of the bottleneck of Ethernet itself, there isn't really much difference between the SSD and the HDD.
Yeah, true. Even if you cache it, it's not really going to make a difference.
No.
Yeah, I was even looking at just like bigger hard drives, because that's what I'd be putting in there, is a bunch of those. And even like a 4 terabyte hard drive, they're getting relatively cheap, I'm pretty sure. Like, we're getting like around $100 Canadian. I don't know. Maybe you could find one for like 70 something dollars US for 4 terabytes. That's great.
Yeah. One thing that I should let everybody know about, if you're thinking of doing something like this and you are looking at WD Red drives, make sure you get WD Red Plus, not the regular WD Red. You can get the Pro if you really want it. But the regular WD Red uses SMR, shingled magnetic recording. It's basically, a little while ago, Western Digital got in trouble for basically hiding the fact that they are using this really crappy technology in certain drives as a cost-saving measure. Basically, it's sort of like, I can't really explain it, but basically it's, I think it had like really, really bad write speeds or something like that. So just stay away from anything labeled SMR. You want CMR, which is conventional magnetic recording. There may be other technologies, but shingled magnetic recording is the one you want to stay away from. You're only going to save $10 or $20 on, a WD Red versus WD Red Plus in many cases. So, make sure to spend the extra little bit, because the performance is quite different, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah. And even if you're not someone who's really interested in actually building a NAS, like an actual, computer in a tower or a server in a tower, there's lots of options that you can get that are kind of plug and play for the most part. I believe that WD makes some of them that are over network storage devices. And while you're probably going to be leaving some money on the table for that, it's going to be a bit more expensive for those of you who aren't super inclined to actually build something. I've heard they can be quite useful. Although there has been some issues with them, it seems like they're pretty good. There's more expensive brands, but if you want something cheap, I believe WD, and there's some more like, I don't know if they're knockoff brands, but other brands that aren't as expensive as, what's that one brand that really is up there? I don't remember the name
Synology?
of the brand. Sorry?
Synology?
Maybe it's Synology, yeah.
They're like, at least from what I've seen, they seem to be the one to beat. They're pretty solid. You can run Plex and stuff on them. You can back up your Synology NAS to your friend's one in a secure location, which is really nice. So like if you and your friend both have a Synology NAS, then you can each like, dedicate a couple gigs to or terabytes rather, to your friend to say you can have this as a special backup place for things that you really don't want to lose and your friend can't access it.
Mm-hmm.
Or they can't, I don't know. The person, it's like it's offsite backup.
Yeah, I think
you know
that's
what
also
I mean?
something. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, offsite backup. A lot of people are using certain websites. I don't know, like what Backblaze. Maybe that's an example to back up more important stuff, or just like regular stuff that they want backed up. And I think most people haven't gone through experience where you're actually losing this stuff. When most people have their house on fire, what they're going to grab, or at least what they used to grab, is going to be the photo albums, right? Those are really important things that can't be replaced. And certainly most people aren't even good at cataloging their own digital photos these days, other than just putting them on social media, which is a whole nother case. I'm someone who doesn't post a lot of stuff on social media, and I keep some serious records of my personal photos, family photos and stuff, all the way back till, I don't know, 2015 or something, when I was a teenager. Like I've got organized like by year and by month stuff that I've taken, just for posterity, and it's good to go through them and reminisce on them, and I don't want to lose those. So backing them up externally in another place that's outside your home, whether it's theft or fire or whatever, is a good idea. And that's cool that it can do that. I didn't know it could do that. Synology.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're paying for it.
Yeah,
so
they are crazy. Like the Synology, like, I don't know, what do they go for? Like a Synology.
$500. This is a Canadian dollar. So maybe I'd say like $425 for a 4-bay NAS. And that's diskless. No hard drive. So you get to pop hard drives in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you definitely be above what I spent on my thing. Although I didn't completely fill it with hard drives. Because I found out that like, hey, I actually don't have 4 terabytes of stuff really to fill this with.
It's always, I don't know if you've done this, but like just me thinking about building a server, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to put, 2 6 terabyte drives in there in this. And then when you actually think about it, it's like, how much stuff do you actually have? It's probably around 2 to 3 terabytes total, including the stuff I have external that could be backed up.
Yeah, I think I have maybe 1 terabyte of photos and videos. And I have like maybe 500 gigs of music related stuff. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Everything else I can lose.
Yeah. It's amazing how much stuff you have on your computer that you can actually lose. I'm pretty studious about keeping the stuff I really want separated from all the other stuff. But, when I reset my Windows, there's only like 2 different folders or places that I need to quickly just back up, and that's it. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I wish I was like that. Like I mentioned last time, I have all that Cubase stuff. It's such a burden. I'm gonna buy a Mac and just switch back to Logic.
Yeah.
I see. I was a Logic user in like, I don't know, in the 90s when it was actually, no, I used it. My piano teacher had an Atari, which was ancient even when we were using it, which ran Logic. But actually a friend and I, we actually started recording on computers using Logic, which was, from a company called eMagic. We really loved it. We hated Cubase, but then Apple bought eMagic and Logic along with it. So now Logic is an Apple product. So you don't get it on PC anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to, begrudgingly go to Cubase because it was like sort of the other guy. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to go into this whole thing. We already talked about this.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that software. I just use Audition. I've got friends who use Logic, but I can imagine it is a pain. Even what I use when I have to reset Windows, that is one of the things that I don't keep, is like all those settings I have for certain EQs and this and that, different plugins for my audio software, which it's not a big deal for me, at least to reset up. It's not like I'm doing huge productions or anything. Just trying to make voices sound a bit better, which in some cases I don't think I do a very good job. I'm having a lot of trouble making that lav mic that I have sound very good. It sounds terrible when it's like just in the flat, whatever. It's super mid heavy.
Your last video, I was actually going to send you a message saying like, hey, what mic are you using? It sounds good.
Oh, I found the mids to be just overwhelming. I tried to make them sound better. I just use
it could be your speakers versus mine. Like
maybe
that's the thing.
Yeah, I didn't think
When
it
you
sounded
do audio
terrible,
stuff, you
but-
really need to like listen on multiple speakers and headphones and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I think
That's why when you go into a studio, you don't just see two speakers. You see like multiple speakers because they will like A/B test every mix on multiple speakers. Sometimes they even have like a little Bluetooth speaker to just hear what like the average person would listen to it.
Yeah,
like.
I think I need to do that because I think that's what pointed me to it, because I had my like Sony small Bluetooth speaker, because at my desktop I don't have any external speakers or anything plugged in, so I just have this little Bluetooth speaker and I listen through that, not when I'm editing or anything, but after the fact. I was like, oh, it sounded so mid-heavy and just weird. I don't know, like I was in a tunnel or something. I don't know. I'm very particular about it, and I don't think I do a good enough job, but thank you. Let's move on here. So this is I hope you guys are enjoying this podcast. I feel like it's just meandering, but I
just spoke for 3 hours about building a server. I don't know if we have anybody still listening.
If anybody's still listening, thanks for staying with us. I enjoyed it. I was just in a trance listening to you talk, staring at my keyboard.
I think I was in a trance as well.
Yeah. We got no listener mail today. I didn't hear back from the fellow about the green butter substance. Maybe we'll hear. It'll be a legendary thing. We'll never know what it is. Truly what they were asking. But hopefully Chicken Gnaw is out there, and we'll finally hear about it in the near future. But until then, no listener mail this week. But yeah, if you have any have any questions for us, go ahead and just email to tilliterate@gmail.com or go to the YouTube and just message there. Those are the best places to reach us, because I typically don't look on Instagram or Twitter or other places. So yeah, that's where you can hit us up. But we got some games to talk about. I'll start here. This is one I tried just last night. It's called Wargroove, and it's been around for a while. I think at least 2 or 3 years, and it came out. It's on Xbox, I believe it's on PlayStation, and it's on PC. I did try it on Xbox last night, and it's a strategy game that has almost an anime type flavor to it, but it's just 16-bit. It's turn-based. And it's a strategy game, and I've just been having so much fun with it. I just love the art style. I love the different characters, and it's been a blast. So typically you'll start off, and I'm a big fan of RTS games where you just skirmish. I'm not a big fan of like campaigns or anything or story mode. I just like to set up some kind of skirmish and go for it. So that's what I've been doing in this game. And like I said, it's not RTS, it's turn-based, and essentially you'll have a hero, and that hero will have a special ability, much like you would have in like Overwatch or something like that. So my favorite character to use, I don't remember her name, but she's a queen essentially, and she can heal her minions. So what you would do is you'd have a map. There's different outposts that you can take over. If you take over outposts, it gives you more income, and what your goal is to just destroy their castle essentially, or destroy their hero. And if you do one of those two things, you win. It's simple. And yeah, it's just been a lot of fun. I've been playing that game, so I recommend that. It's Wargroove, and it's on Game Pass, and that's what I've been playing through. So it's good stuff. We should play it, Matt. You should get it.
Okay.
It's co-op.
Okay.
It's single player story mode, skirmish, online multiplayer. You can do 2v2, 1v1, whatever you want. Yeah, it's good stuff. It gives me this like nostalgic feeling to some old turn-based game I played when I was younger. I don't know what it was called, but it was like this top-down fantasy game, and it was a lot of fun. Check it out, Wargroove.
Cool, will do.
What do you got, Matt? We're going to talk about Cyberpunk again?
I want to just mention one little game I've been playing, and it's called Fantasian.
Fantasian.
It's a Final Fantasy game, and a trigger warning, it's on Apple Arcade. It's an Apple exclusive game. So you can play it on iPad or Mac or whatever. I'm playing it on iPad. It's pretty cool. It's a classic Final Fantasy game, meaning like proper turn-based combat, but all of the all of the backgrounds are real. They're real scale models that have been photographed. So it has this really cool, like, I don't know what to.
Wow.
It's like
it looks really cool.
It looks.
I really like it.
Yeah. What's that? Like, it's got like a Tom Thumb. What's that creepy?
It's a very scale model looking, like.
Yeah.
But it has this. The lighting looks very familiar, but I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah,
it's so interesting.
There's another like clay game. Man, there was like this stop motion movie. I thought it was called Tom Thumb, but anyway, whatever. It's super creepy. Yeah, you kind of got to see
that's
it.
What.
Yeah, the secret adventures of Tom Thumb. You got to watch that. That's a weird, creepy movie. It's like a Tool video in a movie form.
Oh, weird.
So yeah, I played that. It's pretty good. I'm sure it'll come to other platforms soon, but for now it's an Apple Arcade exclusive. I definitely like the fact that it is proper turn-based, much like a Dragon, which I need to jump back into soon. But let's see, what else have I been? I played Cyberpunk since since patch 1.2, which was supposed to fix everything. Happy to report that the quest I was stuck on is now fixed. But the game's still not that great. They really, when some developer is like adamant about something, like they were all about like, this is an RPG and you will experience it through the eyes of this character. There'll be no cutscenes, like everything is through the eyes of your character. So there was like this, I did this mission and some, a friend of this person I did the mission with died. And they're having like this big, like emotional moment. And I'm just like standing there, like, default, like just, there's no emotional close-ups or music or anything like that. It's just like some person doing bad acting and I'm just staring at them. Like, it's just, oh my God. Did you just make Catherine Zeta-Jones like super big?
Yeah, sorry. I thought you were saying, oh my God, about this experience with Cyberpunk. And
no.
The emotions are just not there.
Like, I put this Catherine Zeta-Jones picture in our dock next to that Seagate Zettabytes thing. And Nick was just moving it around. He just made my entire screen fill up with Catherine Zeta-Jones. Anyway, yeah, Cyberpunk, it's still really... Stop that. Oh, I accidentally... Sorry, I swore. I accidentally dragged that into Audacity.
The Intel bleep isn't working. We need to fix it.
Did you write that down?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I accidentally dragged that into Audacity, and it was like, Audacity doesn't know what to do with a flattened picture of Catherine Zeta-Jones. So sorry about that. Yeah, the game is still like, it still needs so much work. If you haven't bought it yet, man, just wait a year or something. It's still, I think the driving feels a little bit better. I didn't find myself like crashing into walls and stuff all the time, but I didn't play it for too long. Speaking of crashing into walls, I've also been playing F1 2020 as usual. If you've listened to this podcast before, that's like pretty much all I play. But recently I've been, especially after watching a lot of videos about sim racing and stuff like that, people giving their tips on getting better, saying to turn off like all the assists. So I've been, for a while I've been using this braking, like a thing where it shows you where to brake in F1 2020. Like as
like just the corners line, the braking line?
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't really need the corners, but you can only do like full driving line or just corners and braking lines.
Yeah.
So I've turned that off completely, and as you know, some tracks I know like very well. Monza, Spa, no problem. Red Bull Ring, they're easy. Like I know them very well. I like, I wasn't ever using the line. It was just the braking. But I've been doing my best to try to learn all the braking zones for all the things, all the tracks, or all the corners and all the tracks. And it's been, some of them have been just so soul crushing. I'm starting to realize now that I may need to turn the difficulty down a little bit, because I can no longer just like be like the last guy who breaks and like beat everybody in every corner, because I have a special little red line telling me like this is exactly where you need to brake based on the speed you're going. So yeah, it's been really soul crushing. But you know, we talked a little while ago about FOVs in racing games. I really think that correcting my FOV for based on where I sit has helped me a lot with this transition. I'm finding it a lot easier to judge like when I need to brake based on like how fast the apex is approaching or whatever, you know, when I'm looking, you know, and I'm also properly looking to the apex instead of just following the line like a monkey on a rail car or something. I don't know what kind of analogy that was. But yeah, I definitely had to turn the difficulty down a little bit because it was getting really painful. Which one was it? I think it was Hungaroring. I was just like in this horrible situation. I was just chasing Max Verstappen, kind of like Lewis Hamilton at the beginning of the last real race. But yeah, it's been quite a challenge. And I think I guess this was part of the reason that I just dropped almost $1,000 on a Fanatec wheel and pedal setup.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So that's something Nick and I've been talking about and like really trying not to spend our money on, because it's it's super expensive. It has to be imported. But yeah, I kind of like finally did it. I didn't get something like super crazy, like a direct drive one, because those are literally like car down payment kind of money.
Like literally $2,000 just for the wheel, but not a steering wheel, just the thing that makes the steering wheel turn.
Yeah, you also need pedals and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got this little F1 kit. I forget what it's called. CSL Elite F1 bundle or something like that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to its arrival. I will have to pay some duties and taxes, I'm sure, which I'm not also looking forward to. Also want to say a big F you to PayPal. You think you can just like take my money just because like you're you or whatever? Like PayPal gives you horrible exchange rates. It's basically like a 5% PayPal tax if you buy anything like in the States from Canada.
Oh, it's so annoying.
Yeah.
Can you pay by credit card?
No. Well, I mean, you can pay through credit card through PayPal.
What?
Like PayPal is the only solution to buy off of the Fanatec website. I actually almost...
What if you have an American credit card?
Well, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I guess if you had an American credit card or bank account, maybe they wouldn't charge their fees. But I mean, I don't have that.
Oof. It's fee after fee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for example, this CSL. So, if you don't know Fanatec or Fanatec, they're one of the leaders, I would say, or most well known in the sim racing space. So, the CSL Elite is kind of their base level. Which, when we say base level, this is like steps above any Thrustmaster or Logitech like above any of that stuff. Like it's, when we say basic, it's very good. But the CSL Elite F1 set is $600 USD. But you'll find out how much it actually costs once it arrives at your door. It's going to be, not an exchange rate price, essentially.
Yeah. So let's see. It was $715.45 USD. I guess that was with shipping on top of that. And it translated to $941 Canadian. There's like the PayPal tax and stuff. Yeah. And I'm probably going to have to pay at least, it's going to be $90 taxes about, plus brokerage fees, I guess. So I'm expecting to pay maybe another $150. But this will still be less than what the local store is charging, which is $1,100 plus tax.
Yeah.
So that was like $1,245, and I'm going to end up paying maybe $1,100. Anyway, I got paid for a job I did, so I had some extra money.
All right.
Yeah.
You got to treat yourself every once in a while. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's a gripe I've been having, because there's even, so I've got a Logitech set and it's been pretty good, but I feel like what would really help is like a good set of pedals. Like I don't really need a new wheel. Like I would like one, of course, but I have a new set of pedals, and I've been looking at it, and I'm on YouTube, and half the things I'm suggested are stuff having to do with sim racing right now, because I'm doing a lot of that.
Yeah, same.
And to see how much more it costs to get things sent over the border is just astronomical. And I don't want to exaggerate too much here, but in many cases, it was 5 times the cost to have it shipped over the border. So I live in BC, which is right against the state of Washington. So about an hour drive away, I could get to the border from where I live. And there's a place called White Rock, which is right over the border. That's in BC. And then there's Blaine, Washington, which is on the other side. And to have something sent to Blaine, Washington, it was $20. And to have it sent to White Rock, it was almost $100. It was $90-something. So almost 5 times the cost for the shipping. And that doesn't include any kind of duties or anything, because that's usually what you'd expect when they ship it over the border. If it's going to cost more, that's including the duties and stuff. So something's going on there. I've tweeted at them, but of course they're not going to tweet me back. Like they don't care. It's annoying. So with this pandemic thing, I can't go pick anything up. So I just have to wait, which is like, oh, boo-hoo, first world problems. It doesn't matter. But if you're someone who lives in Canada and you want some of this stuff, I mean, the best bet is to just wait. And if you live close to the border, you can just drive over and pick it up at an access point for pretty cheap. Obviously, you're going to pay taxes when you come back over, unless you want to do something illegal, not to claim it, or if you're like on a trip. But yeah.
Yeah, if you're on a trip, this is probably the best way to do it, because there's like an allowance for how much you can bring over the border tax-free based on how long you stay in the States.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely don't smuggle anything over the border. It's a dumb idea in general, but also I know somebody who did that and got caught. I mean, it's not like they were smuggling drugs or whatever. It's just like I can't remember what they just bought like some clothes or something across the border in Buffalo and didn't claim them, got caught. And then they were, anytime they crossed the border for, I think like 5 or 10 years or something like that, every single time they crossed the border, they had like a full search, like their car torn apart. I don't think they had like a strip search or anything, but it was like their life was hell anytime they crossed the border. So definitely don't do that. Don't mess with the border, people.
No, not worth it. Like for the whatever $50 to $100 you're going to pay, and just pay the taxes. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And sometimes they wouldn't even bother. They'll just be like, all right, go ahead, whatever.
Yeah.
Not worth it. But back to the points you had about racing. If you're somebody who plays racing games, in general, even, and not even playing like simmy games, but even like Simcade type games, like Forza, for example, turn off that racing line. And I know it's a pain in the ass at first, but you will be surprised at how quickly you get used to not having that racing line. And it's much more rewarding playing a game without it, in my experience at least. So I think I started playing F1, what it was like almost 2 months ago now. And for the first maybe week and a half, I was playing with the racing line. But I was watching some, simmer on YouTube suggesting just to turn it off. And he said, it's going to suck. at first. It's going to be hard. You're
Was
going
it
to
that
crash.
Australian guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same video that inspired me too.
Yeah. Will over at Boosted Media, great YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Actually, he's giving away a whole like podium PlayStation set, like their high-end Fanatec right now. I think they're giving it away in like June. So you can go over there. They have a video about it. And you can sign up, for the raffle or whatever. But yeah, and I'm definitely, if I had the racing line on, in many tracks especially, I'd probably be faster at. But, it's about learning how to get better at the driving experience. And certainly some courses are really tough. Like you mentioned Hungaroring. Some other ones that I always have trouble with is Catalunya, Barcelona, that last chicane.
Oh, yeah.
The last like 3 or 4 turns. Oh, my God. Always a nightmare for me. You got to like hone in on them, but it's a lot of fun. And I've been playing a set of Corsa, and that's a lot of fun too. But it's another experience, man. Going to that and driving and setting up the proper like view or whatever, the field of view, it feels so slow. I'm like in a Miata going around the Nürburgring. I'm like, how fast am I going? I feel like I'm going to the grocery store. Look at the speedometer. It's like 180 kilometers an hour. And then you get used to that. I'm going through the first series, driving around like an what? How do you say it? Abarth.
Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
actually,
one of those like Fiat looking Abarth. Cars, maxing out at like 130, 140 kilometers per hour, and then going back to F1 and being like, oh my God, it's a spaceship. You're going like almost 350 kilometers per hour in an F1 car. It's so fast.
Yeah, I mean, I played Monza today. I got up to over 360 kilometers an hour on the main straight.
Yeah.
I found the same thing. Like I've also been going back and forth. I've been playing Gran Turismo Sport on PS4. It's something I do when I take a break from the frustrations of, relearning F1. And when you play a track that you play in an F1 game, it's so crazy. It's like, what you want me to like brake and downshift going around this corner? In my F1 car, I'm going like full tilt 8th gear around this corner, not even thinking about it. Yeah. Like the downforce is just, I mean, there's major difference. Like those cars just stick. Like, did you like an F1 car going at, I think it's like 160 kilometers an hour produces enough downforce. It produces downforce equal to its weight.
Whoa.
So it could drive upside down. And they usually go much faster than that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's how they can go around corners like they're on rails, because there's so much force pushing them down.
Yeah. That's definitely something I noticed when it almost feels like something's wrong with the cars when you go to different games, like even Forza or set a Corsa, and you're going around a corner at like, 60 kilometers an hour, and it's like, and you're like almost spinning, and you're like, what the heck? What's wrong with this car? It's like, no, it's just not an F1 car.
Yeah.
A modern one for that matter. Even going back to some of the older cars, in the 2000s era F1 cars, something about like these past 5 years, they've really done something different with the cars that they stick to the track a lot more. Yeah. It seems, at least.
Yeah.
But it's been fun.
Yeah. Well, so the 2020 cars were the fastest cars of all time, as far as I know, in terms of F1, probably of many vehicles, at least around a circuit. But that's why they're shaving downforce off this year, because it's getting too crazy, and it's getting to the point where the tires can't handle it anymore. So we saw like multiple blowouts at Silverstone last year and stuff like that.
Oh, I love that though. I love that, like the unexpected things happening.
Well, it was pretty nuts watching Lewis Hamilton finish the race on 3 wheels while Max Verstappen is closing in.
Oh yeah,
that was
that's a great
exciting. Oh my God.
Oh man, yeah. Even that. Yeah. See, it's the end of the podcast. We're going to talk about a little motor racing and stuff. Okay. But yeah, it's been good. I've been just waiting. 2 weeks ago was that first race, and it's next week is another race, and it's 3 weeks. It's just so long. Oh my God. Yeah. Week after week without a race. I'm excited. Really excited. But since we're divulging into this stuff, let's go into the after show today. It feels like we're running short, even though we've been recording for an hour 40, just because of how long last episode was. It's crazy. All right. Well, thanks for listening. If you stuck with us, it's been probably about, I don't know, an hour and a half here in the regular show almost. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And if you want to hear more, including the after show, you can just head to Patreon. I'm thinking about changing that whole thing with Patreon and where that's going to go in the future. I'm thinking about starting maybe a website and setting up something different. There's a group of people. Maybe I won't talk about it too much, but they're working on some open source stuff that you can plug into your own website, where you can go ahead and donate there and get access to any kind of extra stuff that we might be making. So we'll see about that in the future, because honestly, there's not that many people on the Patreon. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, thanks for listening. Like I said, you can still go to Patreon right now. That's Tech Illiterate. And yeah, you can get the extended podcast, get access to the Discord, where still can't get anybody to go in there. There's like nobody wants to join it, or they just, like you said, they don't know about it. But you can vote on future content, or vote to see what kind of stuff you might be getting from Autonomous and Autonomous giveaways and stuff like that. So anyways, thanks for listening yet again. This has been Off and On Again. We'll see you next time.